Good evening, and welcome to the Wyndham-Raymond School District Board of Directors meeting, January 8th, 2020. We are in the Wyndham Town Council chambers. Can I have a roll call, please?
Kate Bricks.
Present.
Jenny Butler.
Present.
Janie Cummings.
Present.
Marge Gaboni.
Here.
Pete Hensler. Here. Anna Keeney.
Here.
Kate Levier.
Here.
Scott McLean. Molly Cochran.
Here. Okay, will you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Howell, are there any adjustments to the agenda?
We do not have any adjustments to the agenda tonight.
Okay. It's now the time for public input. Opportunity for the public to comment on items not on the agenda. See you running up to opine on anything. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Howell for the strategic plan.
Sure, and I'm going to present from over here tonight so I can see everybody. Good evening, everyone. It's been a while since I've had a chance to be in this seat to present for all of you. And tonight we're going to be talking about strategic planning. And if you think about it as a school committee, you have two strategic planning documents. One is the budget, and you will be starting that process the end of February, working through all of our different cost centers. And think about the budget being a strategic planning process is that where you put your money is where you find importance as a school committee. The second is our strategic plan. And since I've had a chance to work in this district, I think my first strategic planning activity that I participated back in with Sue Gendron would have been right around 2000. And so I think this is going to be either my fourth or fifth strategic plan that I've had a chance to work on in the district. And so we are looking now at a strategic planning process that is going to be taking us through 2025. It's just amazing that we've reached that point in time. It just so long ago, 2020 seemed far, but looking at 2025. So our current strategic plan, which had previously, the previous one had expired in 2015, and we took a year at that time, and we actually started this plan back and implemented in 2016, will run out at the end of the school year. And for those of you who are home and are looking for something that you'd like to spend some time with tonight, if you go to rsu14.org and go on to the section on the website that's about, you can find the strategic plan. This wonderful picture, which I think has Aladdin from Jordan Small and some girls soccer and the student at Wyndham Middle School. And then I think someone from one of our kindergarten programs on the front. You can go and you can peruse through. And included on the website is all the progress that we've made from 2016 to 2020 on the current strategic plan. And we had three goals within that plan. So the first goal being by 2020, all RSU 14 students will be engaged in authentic, personalized learning experience to master standards through multiple pathways. Goal 2, which was all about think about an environment for learning. Students will continue to learn in a school environment that meets the developmental needs of learners, supports balance and quality of life for members of the learning community. And think about within that goal, you folks had commissioned a homework committee. You also had commissioned a late start committee. And some of the work that's being done this year through SEL is work that was spawned or work that was really supported through Goal 2, that environment for learning. And then Goal 3 there, by 2020, all members of the RSU 14 learning community will be proficient users of technology and will have consistent and equitable access to the technology resources needed to support mastery of personalized learning goals. And if you think about where we are in technology, even from where we were in 2016, you as a board have made really some great investments in the technology and the level of technology that's available to our students. So this set of goals, or these set of goals, are sunsetting. We're reaching the end of This past strategic plan, which again was started in 2015, really didn't come to fruition until 2016, and then moving forward, moving into our next strategic plan. So wanted to just take the opportunity tonight to talk about the process that we're going to be using over this next upcoming year to develop our next strategic plan. And it's my goal to have ready for opening day for our staff in the 21 school year, which will be, we haven't approved the calendar yet, but sometime in late August, early September, of when we get a chance to get together, but to have the broad goals, and then also to have the opportunity to be continuing to work on all the different indicators and progress and things that we'll do to look then at 2025. And it's amazing how quickly 2020 came, just to think about where we will all be in 5 years when we're discussing. Some of you may still be on the board, you may not, but discussing what is the progress that we've made. So some of the tasks that we've already started to take place and have already started to work on. One thing that we think that's important with any strategic plan is that we get our community involved and that there's opportunity for community dialogue. And often we think about community just being the teachers or the staff or the parents that are involved, but both Windham and Raymond have very large communities of individuals that don't have any children in school. And whether they be a business or whether they be a community member, all have a vested interest in what happens within RSU 14 and the impact that it has on the towns of Windham and Raymond. And so we're in the process of looking at a community dialogue, and I have a slide in just a couple minutes that will show you just the groups of individuals we're looking to invite. In addition, we believe that focus groups are important. And so planning out a process that once we have an opportunity to see what the community has interest in, gaining further feedback from our students, from our teachers, from groups of parents, from business owners, what is it they're looking for in RSU 14, and then looking to then meld that together with the community forum. We need to develop goals, we need to develop action steps, and success indicators. And I think probably all of you are aware that the best goals that you could ever produce are ones that are strategic, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're time-bound, those SMART goals, and that they're reasonable. And so we'll be looking to go through a SMART goal process to make sure that it's great to have some lofty goals, but if you can't actually achieve them, we want to make sure that, in fact, when we come to you in 5 years or that we go through, that we've actually met these goals. And then I think lastly, and something that I don't think we've always done well, is the feedback loop. So you had these goals. Did you attain them? What are you doing to actually achieve them? How do we continue to bring the community in to say, you know what, this is a good piece of feedback. This is what we've done and done well. Here's the areas that we need to continue to have your support. So these 4 bullets here are just helping to guide some of our decision making and some of our planning. So work we've done to date, and boy, that font is small from there. But I'll make sure in your board packets that you get a copy of this presentation so that you can have it. So number 1, October, November of this past year. So this is something we've already done. We have selected a facilitator to work with us in our strategic plan. We're working with Michelle Milstein. Michelle had done some work with the district. She worked for Great Schools Partnership. She's done some work in the district previously through Great Schools Partnership and working with our guiding principals. She's a very talented facilitator. She's done some strategic planning processes for other districts, and she's someone who's seen great success with us in the RSU, and so she's someone that we're looking to use to help guide us through this process. One of the reasons why we do this as a facilitator, because you may be sitting there in the public saying, why don't we just have the superintendent do it, or the assistant superintendent go ahead and facilitate? One of the problems with is if you facilitate something like this, you don't get to be a participant. And both Christine and I want to be active participants in this process, and as we work with the community. In December, we met with Michelle, developed a timeline, and the timeline runs between really presentation tonight and working through October, November, where we finally kind of button up all the different pieces of the strategic plan and make sure that we have a solid plan with solid goals that we can then go ahead and present to the general public to say, here's where we want to focus our energy. And why this process takes so long is that this is an important document. Strategic plans are used to guide decision making. They're used to decide budgets and how we spend. They should be kind of a core piece to what it is that we want to do as a district and how we set our goals. This year, the goals for the district are based on our strategic plan. One goal being looking at the environment for learning and how we present that environment and develop the environment for our students. And the second one being, we're proponents of making sure that our students have access to the highest quality instruction through our educational professionals. Those are the two pieces. That's what guides our A-team work. That's what guides our committee work. We want to make sure that we do this and do this well. We have identified a strategic planning steering committee that will be working to kind of help us guide us through the process, and that will be working to make sure that our goals and things stay on track, made up of different stakeholders, teachers, administrators. I've asked Mrs. Bricks to continue on. She participated in our last strategic planning process. In addition, we want to make sure that we have individuals who are in it for the long haul, because it's going to be an arduous writing process when we get this through. So in February 6th, and I think actually some of the first invitations went out today to staff members, but we will be convening a community forum. We are sending out, I think, 85 invitations to individuals, so that on the 6th we'll be convening at Wyndham Middle School, providing a dinner, and then going through a strategic planning process where we'll be starting to gain some input from community members. And I'll show you on the next slide just kind of some of the groups that we're done and that we've invited to this. March through April, we're going to be pulling together focus groups, looking for additional stakeholder input. May, June, doing some goal development. And again, whether it be August 2020 or September 2020, being able to bring out those broad goals to staff. So some of the individuals that we're looking to invite or have invited already: students, teachers, parents, community members, school board members, business owners, school administrators, law enforcement, Chamber of Commerce, Town Council, Board of Selectmen, some of our daycare providers, social workers, nurses. We also have some of our faith-based individuals in town that we're also inviting as well, to make sure that we have a group that is well-rounded and has that connection to our kids. So staff members who have been invited receive that electronically. Community members will be receiving a paper invitation that will be mailed to them. I think those are going out Friday. And we're pretty excited about that opportunity today on February 6th to gain the community's input, and then look to then plan our community and our focus groups after that. So that's where we are at the moment. Whether or not some of the goals from the current strategic plan appear in the next strategic plan, time will tell. I mean, that's something that we'll wait and see. We're excited, though, about being able to start not only looking at a new strategic plan, but as a new superintendent, to be able to have the opportunity to help craft the strategic plan, and then looking at that, how that can implement and kind of shape our work for these next couple of years. So I don't know if there's questions about the process. I'm happy to entertain those at this time.
It's not. That is a first. I think it's going to be a good process.
And also just want to put out to board members, if you were interested in participating, please let me know, because we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to have that voice and have that opportunity to participate. I think the community forums that I've participated in the past, I think have been some of the most powerful ones, especially when you have students sitting with teachers and parents and community members and giving their voice to the process. So we're excited about that.
I will actually ask a question, please,
Sure.
Chris. So there was invitations sent out to certain community members, however they were chosen. If there are other community members that wish their voice to be heard, what opportunities will they have to be able to have some input?
So a couple different ways. One, if someone doesn't receive an invitation and would like to participate, they can go ahead and email me, or they can go ahead and email Christine, and we'd be happy to include individuals, because much like a wedding where you send out 85 invitations, I think, 20% that typically don't show up? We know that there's going to be individuals who won't be able to make it, so if someone would like to lend their voice. In addition to that, through focus groups, we'll also be looking to gain some support and looking to gain some input from other individuals who may not have the opportunity to participate in the community forum, whether it be through a scheduling issue or something else if they can't make it. In the last strategic plan, kind of digress here a little bit, there were some surveys that were done throughout the community. What we found on the surveys is that the rate of return was actually very, very small. And I want to say it was under 30, and really looking at opportunities to have those face-to-face conversations in this current strategic plan. And then also, if we're missing certain areas or certain groups within our plan, that we then can build some focus groups to make sure that we get that. Good, thanks. But we will always take other individuals. And if the spaghetti dinner brings them in, then we'll use that as well.
I've never had spaghetti at a wedding. Chicken or fish, maybe. Thanks, Chris. Okay, now we're moving on to board chair. Jenny Cummings will update the board on a new subcommittee. We have been bandying about or talking about the idea of a curriculum committee, a standing committee, for a couple of years now. And as you know, we have, any given year, new, proposed, piloted, continuing curricula and it's being evaluated constantly in our district by A-teams, by principals, principal to principal, or not, teacher to teacher, and always with Christine Hessler's guidance and support. But we were looking at creating a committee that is a curriculum committee, and it would, the purpose of it would be that it would be informed, it would help to track trends in district research and testing results, it would think about program decisions, and so we're bringing that forward to you to talk to you about tonight. As proposed, it will have Christine Hessler on the committee, obviously, because she would lead it, the principals, up to 4 school board members because of the quorum issue, and teachers on an ad hoc basis. For example, if we're going to be discussing Jolly Phonics, we're probably not going to have a physics teacher at the high school wanting to be a participant, although I don't know. So that's the basic idea. For me, we have a facility as a standing committee. We have a facilities committee, we have a finance committee, and we have a policy committee. We don't have anything to do. I know it all has to do with education, but we don't have anything to do with the specifics about what goes on in the classroom. And that's what this would be about. So we need to discuss it now, and if you give your approval or head nod to continue, then we will bring it for a vote, because if we create a standing committee, it has to have a vote. Kate has the policies. I think that's it. If you have any questions or if anybody wants to add, Marge?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, we talk about really not knowing what's going on with the curriculum, if the curriculum is adequate, whatever, and we all wait for Christine to do her presentations, and that's how we find out, or if there's something new coming. But I think it's a great idea. I would support having it.
Oh, great. That's wonderful.
How is the curriculum? Why do I always sound so loud?
I know.
Right now?
You're doing it.
I'm going to back up here. How are curriculum decisions handled right now as it currently stands? I know, obviously, Christine leads that, but who has input right now when we're making curriculum decisions?
It's Christine and the principals and the big honcho here, but this is not. I don't think we'd be making a fine. We wouldn't be going, oh, well, that's a terrible curriculum. I don't think that's our purpose. It's our purpose, however, to look at trends in research, at trends in testing, and how is it going? How is the math program going? What's the feedback? And then we can bring that to you. That's my understanding. But of course, we would bring a more formal proposal to you. Do you have?
Yeah, I think wow, this is loud.
Yeah.
Come back here. I think another component to it is one of the things we talked about in leadership, which is we want to encourage our classroom teachers to be trying things all the time. And so if there's something that they want to try to do to meet the needs of an individual student, then we want to make sure that happens, and we want to make sure that there isn't a committee that all of a sudden gets in the way, that I can't try something with a group of kids because I've got to bring it to a committee. Mm-hmm. I think what we've talked about is that when things become operationalized or become now all the third graders are going to be doing this or all the kindergartens be doing this, that there be a mechanism to help the board understand, because oftentimes the math one you are well informed because it had some significant financial, but if there might be some smaller pieces to it, just allowing the board to stay informed and understanding here are some of the issues and things that we're working on. But currently we would have a recommendation that would come to the administrative team. You'd then have a curriculum committee that would be put together of teachers and administrators that would look at all the possibilities. And I know for the last couple, the math one being more specific, that actually came back to you for your final head nod and approval for that process. But to keep the board informed of all the different curriculum discussions that are happening out there, the progress, and I think another component, which is that progress towards whether it be standardized testing or other assessments that are being used, just helping the board to have a better understanding of some of the operational sides on education, much like with finance and facilities that are happening now.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I just want to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts. Yourself, obviously, everybody that we've mentioned so far has a lot on their plate. So if we're duplicating efforts, I wouldn't see the value in it. But if this has got a separate value, then definitely support it.
I think it's a fine line, and I worried about that too when I was explaining it. I thought I don't want that to be that way. So I agree with you.
I think for me, we get the district achievement report once a year, where we really get the deep dive on curriculum and other things of that nature, but we really don't have, I drone on once a month about policy. You possibly, I won't say drone. You report out. And we, I mentioned this to Christine recently. If we can have a 45-minute discussion or presentation on solar panels or solar energy, if we can have a discussion on gas lines, if we can have a discussion about boilers, I'd like to be able to have a little continuity on curriculum and actually on a monthly basis. And I don't see this as a decision-making per se body. I see it as an informative reporting out. This is the work that's going on. You know me. I went onto the MSMA site this afternoon and pulled up the handbook for board responsibilities. And there are 3 areas for board focus. And the third one is make informed decisions. In order to make good curriculum decisions, the board needs information. And so based on that as being the third tenet of our work, I feel like we have some growth in that area as far as being more informed about the educational programs that we provide our students and what's on the docket, what works, what doesn't work. So obviously I fully support this, and I concur. I did not want to create additional work, but I think it's our responsibility to be informed, and I'd like to have more information other than the periodic and important and informative presentations we have in the District Achievement Report.
Question or concern, or want to nod their head in any way in particular? Okay. All right, we will get a more formal motion for you in upcoming meeting. Have a vote. Right. Okay, it's now time to approve the minutes of the December 4th meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of the December 4th, 2019 meeting with authority.
It's been moved and seconded. Any public comment? Any board discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
I move to approve the minutes of the December 18th, 2019 meeting.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any public comment? Any board discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Superintendents Report.
So I'm actually kind of shy to bring up solar panels at this point. But we did have an opportunity to hear from Competitive Energy Services and Charlie Agnew at our meeting on December 18th to talk about a possible solar project for RSU 14. I think it's important that we keep this in the forefront as far as the timeline that goes. Just to share with the public who may have been watching, on December 18th, we're working with our attorneys and who now have a solar expert that they've brought on. And basically it's because so many different organizations, whether they be nonprofits, for-profits, or other municipalities, are now looking into the benefits of solar and hydro, especially with some of the net metering agreements. And so we hope to be able to bring to the full board within the next meeting or so some recommendations as far as how we think that we should proceed as an RSU. Mr. Hansen has been working through some templates looking at historical electricity usage and what the possible impact might be for RSU 14 in pursuing 1% of a solar field for 70% of our electricity needs. And so we hope to be able to have that recommendation. So that part is continuing forward. Just for more of a point of information, our school resource officer, Seth Fournier, who has kind of knit himself into the fabric of the Wyndham community because he's the school resource officer for Wyndham High School, had surgery today on his knee. Sent me a picture of it post-surgery. I don't know why. But we have hired Officer Hutner, who will be taking over for Officer Fournier for the next 10 weeks through the conclusion of the school year. He spent some time with Officer Fournier last week at Wyndham High School, meeting everybody, but that position has now been filled and will continue on meeting the SRO responsibilities during that time period. Just so everyone's aware, for a minor knee surgery or a knee surgery to be out 10 weeks, officers have to return back to duty level. So it's not like someone who can return back to work after 3 or 4 weeks. They have to be able to run and do everything else that they can do in order to be cleared back for active duty. The Greater Sebago Alliance, which we are a member of, we'll be having on January 30th, and then we're going to be sending these out by our listserv, but the second annual substitute job fair, and it's Gorham, Scarborough, South Portland, Westbrook, and us. We'll be working together looking to gather substitutes for teachers, ed tech, school nutrition, custodial maintenance, admin assistants, transportation, nurses, we're looking for help in all these different things, and so it'll be an opportunity for individuals who are interested to come in, to go through an application process, which will be a common application process across all those districts, to have an on-site interview, and then to learn more about the process to go through fingerprinting so that they can become a substitute in any one of those districts. Also would like to brag a little bit that the state of Maine, because they're recognizing difficulties in finding substitutes across the state, is looking to take and operationalize this across the state. So they're taking Greater Sebago Alliance materials and then trying to use them statewide to get a common application. So I think we should be proud that people are looking to duplicate the work that we're doing, but on a statewide level. And then lastly, to end on, for all of our students, including Molly, halfway point of the year is 2 weeks away, the midterms. And so, the year is moving right along. And so, we know the second half goes by quickly. End of February, we're presenting budget. And then once that starts, the year accelerates. So a lot of good things going on, and wish everyone a happy new year.
Thank you. We have committee reports.
Finance met just prior to this meeting, so I've got a few notes here that I can share. We started the meeting talking about solar, and Mr. Howell gave us the same update that he just gave to you as well. Showed us some of the preliminary numbers that have been run for the cost savings analysis by the attorneys. And if everything stays the way that it's been presented, then it does present significant savings for the district. But until those numbers can, get solidified, we won't take any action. But Bill hopes to be back to us soon to give us those solid numbers so that we can move forward with that decision. From there, we went on to year-to-date revenue and year-to-date spending. Both items are tracking right where they should be. No major outliers there. We got an update on the school lunch balances, which unfortunately continues to be an issue. We started the year at a zero balance, and now we've got negative balances of over $32,000.
Oh my God! Oh my goodness!
So. Something that continues to be an issue without any clear solutions. Let's see. After that, talked about the budget. Just Mr. Howell updated that the A-team is met preliminarily, and that end of February we'll be having the budget presented to the whole board for the first time. He updated us on some things that will be coming into play for this year's budget. When the state passed the biennial budget last year, there was a certain chunk of money that was added, and then a second chunk, which is about $50 million, that was going to be brought into this year's funding. But there's some things that are going to eat into that, such as the new law requiring minimum salaries for all of the teachers. That won't have much of an impact in our district because all of our teachers pretty much are there as it is anyway, but in some of the more rural areas, those funds will be directly issued there as part of their subsidy. PreK, a note on PreK funding. When we were looking at PreK funding before, it was going to have to be, districts would have to front the costs for the first year and then get reimbursed. Mm-hmm. With this year's budgeting from the state, they would pay those costs up front. System administration costs, reimbursements that had gone down with the last budget will be going back up to their levels of two budgets ago or so.
There's actually three budgets
ago, provided that districts are in one of these, like Sebago Greater, this Greater Sebago Alliance. What else we talk about? We do have 3 sets of contract negotiations that will be taking place as we're trying to do the budget. So that's going to have a significant impact, and just the overall thing is a lot of moving parts that we're going to have to consider as we're doing the budget this year. And lastly, we just got high-level view on the administrator negotiations that we're going to be talking about. Just some things that are going to need to be taken into consideration. So that's what I have. Question?
When you met tonight, did you have any discussion? Maybe this is more for you, but in some years past, we've had a roundtable with the administrators prior to the budget. Is that going to be part of the team? Okay, good.
We're just updating you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, facilities is not here. Do we have anything? We didn't.
Facilities is not met.
Yeah. Okay. And
We haven't. The vocational schools have not met.
Okay. Right.
Tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Policy will be meeting in a couple of weeks to finalize the administration of medication and marijuana policy, and then kind of picking away at a few other fringe ones that we'll report back to you on.
Right. Okay, well, do you have anything to tell us about?
I do not, for withdrawal. We do not have a meeting scheduled at this point. We're just waiting for the finalization of the withdrawal agreement. And once that is in the works,
There's also a survey.
oh, yes, thank you. There is a survey that was sent out through the Raymond PTO page, and it will also be in the Raymond Roadrunner, right? Raymond Roadrunner card. Am I not on?
Oh, is that? Oh, I am on now. So there's a survey that was sent out through the PTO Facebook page. It will be listed in the Raymond Roadrunner as well to get community input on the withdrawal. So,
Is this survey generated from the committee, or is this generated from the PTO?
So the survey was generated from a parent who came to one of the meetings and really wanted to get some community input on this, and had suggested, because people just weren't coming to meetings, and she had suggested to send out a survey. So she put it all together for everyone, and the committee took a look at it and gave their approval.
They endorsed it. So.
Okay. Yep.
Very good.
Okay. Now we have an opportunity, a board roundtable, an opportunity for the board to address the community or anything else. Anybody have a really desire to leap up and talk? Okay, then I will. I was a mystery reader at Mrs. Cole's classroom today, in her first grade classroom, and read the book One by Catherine of Tashi, and it was really wonderful being with kids again and reading and talking to people who didn't raise their hand, those who did, and it was really terrific. It's beautiful to be there, and I love the artwork in the building. I love to see all the work that the kids are doing, and hear the noise of people working, kids working. It's a very great experience. So that's what I got. All right. Could I have a motion to go into executive session, please?
I move to enter into executive session to discuss RSU 14 Administrators Association contract negotiations with the RSU 14 Board of Directors pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 405(6)D and not return to regular meeting.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? We are in executive session. Thank you.